Sometimes we get the odd thought, like, can you eat a potato whole? And what's the last number? Well, I myself had an odd thought. Do worms do it? And well, here we are. Wormania. Get your headgear ready. Worm Woman is going to take us on a dirty little adventure. This video is for entertainment purposes. Nothing in here is in mean spirits. Also, I'm recording during the daytime, so apologies if you can hear my birds in the background. Wormania, the smallest branch of the WWE, mainly because it's just worms. Is that a Bible verse in the middle? RT 2610? Maybe I can find that verse in the book of Flowerfield Enterprises. Alright, I guess this movie is from the POV of a worm. Great. Oh my god, he's watching Wormania too!
Learn everything you ever wanted to know about worms. Featuring
Apple
Mary
Hoff.
Applehoff as
Worm Woman. There's irony in here somewhere.
And the Brennan Kids.
Started a bit early there, Billy.
Have you ever seen a leaf disappear into the ground? It was probably a worm.
The noise has attracted local wildlife.
Dad, what are you watching?
I'm watching a worm drag a leaf across the ground.
Why are you watching a worm drag a leaf across the ground?
Because
Very
it's
good question.
fascinating. So I thought I'd just have to write a song about it.
Fascinating?
Yeah.
Help! The worms told me they'd kill my family if I didn't do a show about them.
Who said that?
Lady in the TV, dum-dum. You're staring right at her.
The worm woman from Kalamazoo, and I speak for the worms.
Dad, she just talked to us. How did she do that?
The concept of speech escapes this kid.
Let's call it following the script, Dad.
Sorry, kid. The fourth wall has already been broken.
Anyway, Dad, I need a ride over to Jessica's. And since James failed his driving test,
By running over a 3-year-old.
that leaves you, Dad. Can I get a ride?
Sure.
Ugh, please don't ask your dad for a ride.
How long is that gonna take?
Brian Wilson said this Smile album will be ready in a jiffy.
That's what you get when you have a songwriter for a father.
And roll credits.
Have you ever seen a leaf?
Oh, hey, I didn't know Stephen Colbert could play the guitar.
Was probably a worm, yes, pulling that leaf down.
What's the worm gonna do with that leaf?
Wait, what is it doing to that leaf? Oh god, turn the TV off! I'm feeling a little bit threatened here. They might be giants, his early years were rough.
So what are we talking about?
Satan!
We're talking about worms.
What are you singing about?
We're singing
That kid has a worm growing out of his head.
What's the big deal about worms?
Tell him, worm woman.
Hi, Julian. We're talking about worms because they're so valuable to the entire natural world, and that includes people.
Prove it to him, worm woman.
Okay.
And then her head pops open and worms burst out.
Where did she go?
To hell!
She said to meet her outside.
Yeah, you expect me to believe that?
Let's go and find out. Come on. Let's go, Jules.
Wow, that is a big house. No way Dad can afford that, and 3 kids. No one else lives on this block. They depreciate the nearby home is valued by the millions.
She is here! She has a really weird outfit on.
She looks like some sort of patrol guard.
You just called her a troll.
You might say I'm on worm patrol. I go where the worms go.
Like your
Red
house.
and dirty.
Well, it's nice to meet you in person, worm woman. So, where are the worms?
Right here in my pants.
What's the worm
that?
sign?
Yeah, what's worm sign?
Well, come on over here and follow me.
We've been walking for days. Can we please go
When you
home?
look closely, you'll find these little irregular piles of worm manure.
Also known
This
as my
is a
lunch
worm
for the
sign,
past
or
2
what we
weeks.
scientists call castings. Some worms cast their manure on the surface after eating.
You mean they poop?
You got it. Worms are detritivores. That means they eat dead stuff and make plant food out of it.
I could stab you and make you into worm food right now.
Now here's my backdrop. It's a
This
forest.
is where I come to
Forest is
cry.
made of trees and trees of plants, and plants pull nutrients
Ah!
out of the ground up into their leaves. The leaves use the nutrients with the energy from the sun.
You don't
to
need
make food
public
for the
school
plant.
when you have
Then
Dad
the
teaching
leaves
you.
die and drift back to the ground. That's when the bacteria start to decompose those leaves, and that's when the worms do their job. The
Dad,
worms
if you
turn
know
those
so much
rotting
about
leaves
worms
back into
already, why are you
nutrient-rich
watching this
soil.
tape about them in the
It
first
sounds like
place?
worms are nature's best recyclers.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, look over there.
Pointing at the kid there,
Worms
worm
under that
woman.
bag of leaves.
Let's see.
Look, there's a worm.
Excuse me,
How'd
do
know
you
there'd be a
mind?
worm under here, worm woman?
Because worms love dark, moist places.
Just
Where
like
did that
me.
worm go?
That's because it's trying to get away
This
from the light.
backyard has
And
so
that's
many
why I
worms.
always
Did
use
they
my
bury a
red
corpse
light
back
when
here
I
or
look for
something?
night crawlers at night. Worms aren't as bothered by red light.
I only
So what
learned
are we
3
talking
chords,
about?
and by God, I'm gonna use them.
So when that worm gets done with
Thank you
that
for
leaf,
panning away from that
like
morbid
all
display.
animals, it poops for relief.
It goes in as dead matter like leaves.
Oh
and
sure,
comes
but
out
when I
as
film
fertile
myself
soil.
pooping and post it, it's a
Talking
crime.
about worm poop might sound rude.
Yeah,
but
the
worm
wife is
poop
definitely buried
is
back here somewhere.
important plant food. So what are we talking about? We're talking about worms. Yeah, what are we talking about? We're talking about worms.
Enjoy this while you can, kid. This is probably the highlight of
That's
your
just
acting
one of the
career.
reasons they're valuable. Worms also aerate the soil when they move through the
No,
ground.
that's a worm.
That loosens the soil, helping the roots of all the plants breathe. If it weren't for worms, we'd have compaction.
The ground
What's so
sucks
bad
are
about
in.
compaction?
Well, come on over here and I'll show you. When it rains hard on compacted soil,
It's
the water
oddly
stays on
convenient you
top.
guys happen
When
to
the
have a
water flows
backdrop in your
downhill,
backyard.
The runoff carries soil with it, creating erosion. Julian, will you please pick up that pipe?
Now
Worm
hit your
burrows
brother with
like
it as hard as you
pipe
can.
direct water to the plant's roots, where they can absorb it.
You
So
just
worms
spill
are
water on me,
Is it
worm
both
bitch.
poopers and plumbers?
Well, there's one more thing the worms do for the soil. This is a worm observation chamber that I built in Kalamazoo. Scientists
I made
like
it out
me
of the
use
bones
these
of my
to study
past
the
enemies.
impact of worms on the soil. First, I added 1 inch of rocks, which is known as parent material. Then I added 4 inches of subsoil that I
This
gathered
is
at
the
a
part of the soil
construction
where
site
Mom
they had
currently
been
rests.
digging. Next, I put in 4 inches of topsoil. And I topped it off with 3 inches of compost and leaves.
I
This is
also
known as
poured
the
ice cream
organic
sprinkles
layer
on
that
top.
mimics the leaf litter in the forest. If I had left this chamber alone for a year, it would look the same. But I added worms, and things began to change.
The worms started
Look what
speaking to me in
happened only
tongues.
2 months. You can see how the worms are burrowing into the subsoil.
You
After
now have a
11
giant
months,
brownie.
The top 2 layers have been completely mixed, and the subsoil has even more worm activity.
Wow.
Wow, none of
Worms
that
are
was
really
interesting.
busy.
Is it important for the soil to be mixed up?
Oh, I know the answer to that one. Just like us humans need a variety of nutrients to stay healthy, so do the plants. The difference is plants get their nutrients from the ground, not the grocery store.
I
Says
remember
you.
now, nutrients come from the dead material in the organic layer, but minerals come from the rocks and subsoil. When the worms mix all the soil together, all those nutrients can get to the plant's roots to help them grow.
Right.
Yeah.
This
but
is
won't the
why
worms
no one in
split
your
their
class
skin when
wants
they
to
move
hang
through
out
that
with
gritty
you.
soil?
Well, they line their burrows with mucus.
Oh, cool. Slime.
Worms secrete mucus as they move through their burrows to reduce friction and wear and tear on their bodies.
Just like
Can
me
you
at
see how
night.
shiny it is right here?
This is getting grosser and grosser.
So like a dump truck moving dirt and a
Oh, not
percolating
again.
pipe.
The worm digs its hole.
Mixing soils of all
No, it's getting worse.
Digs holes and keeps the ground loose.
It's like 5 a.m. Stop singing about worm poop and get back into your house.
So what are we talking about?
Worm woman must be the center of attention at all times.
So what are we singing about?
We're singing about worms.
They all look regretful to be here.
Oh, that was great. Now guess what? I have a surprise for you. I'll meet you in the kitchen.
What's she gonna do? Cook us some worms?
Ooh, I just got a great idea for a song. I'll meet you in the kitchen in a bit. See you later.
Hang on now, she had a surprise for you.
Uh-oh, looks like leftovers for dinner again.
No, these aren't for you. This is for the worms I found in your garbage can.
I've been living
gross.
off your
That's
scraps.
Disgusting.
Well, it is disgusting. You're throwing all these resources away that will end up in the landfill.
But what if we put them on the garbage disposal?
Well, that's just as bad. Then it'll be processed at the wastewater treatment plant, and that takes water and energy. What a waste when these things could be made into good, rich soil instead. Look at these things you're throwing away. Apple cores, banana peels,
Heroin
rinds,
needles.
eggshells.
I bet the worms will even eat eggshells if you crush them.
Ah!
Hey, Julian. Here, let's measure how much waste we're throwing away just from breakfast and lunch. Go put this on the scale.
Whoa! A whole pound. That's almost half a kilogram.
Let's see.
So are we just ignoring that the worm lady's been digging through your trash, or...
That's 728 pounds a year.
728.
That's almost 330 kilograms.
That's a lot of waste. I mean, especially when you think about how many people there are in this country doing exactly the same thing. So how can we deal with it?
We don't.
Haven't you been listening to Worm Woman? The worms will
Yes,
eat it. All you gotta
Worm
do
Woman,
is
the
throw
only
it in the
credible
backyard.
source of information.
Julian, we can't do that. You'll attract every animal in the neighborhood.
Oh,
So where can we put it, Worm Woman?
I'll show you.
You know, Dad had the right idea. Lied to the kids about making a new song to get away from the worm video.
We'll create a habitat for worms using newspaper.
Is that
soil,
2
and
whole
water.
jugs of
The
water?
worms will feel
Is that
right at
really
home.
necessary for a silly worm project?
Living in our house?
You got it. Let's set one up. First, we'll take some paper and shred it.
Newspaper shredding is a step before book burning, just so you know. Yeah, shred that newspaper like Dad's shredding that guitar. I don't think paper shredding is as exciting as this movie's making it out to be.
Oh, that'll make great bedding. The worms
For
will
my
eat it,
house.
though. Okay, Julian, now you can sprinkle some garden soil on there.
Sure.
Okay, now add the
Again, add
nitroglycerin.
enough water to make it moist but not soggy. Good job.
For
That's
someone
plenty.
who's anti-waste,
Now,
she's
Shannon,
strangely
mix it up
okay with
with
him
this
pouring
worm
out 2 jugs of water when 1 would have done.
That was easy, but where are the worms?
Right here.
cool.
I barfed them
What are
out.
you gonna put in there?
Oh, about 1,000. Oh, be careful, Julian. Don't mash it. It's fragile, you know.
So, what kind of worms are these?
The
Athenia
flesh-eating
fetida.
kind.
Athenia fetida?
That's a
No, those are
scientific
worms.
word.
But you can call them redworms if you want. Here's a good example. When worms mate, they move together
Ah,
and
worm
overlap,
sex.
head to head. That swollen band, called a clitellum,
Clitellum?
secretes slime, which holds both worms together.
Slime is so sublime.
Okay.
Leave the band
Now,
Sublime
as
out
the
of
worms
this.
are
They've
joined by
done
the
nothing
mucus,
wrong.
They exchange sperm, which are stored in a tiny sac in their bodies.
Where do they make the cocoon?
Worm
After
cum.
the worms separate. Later, the clitellum again secretes
Is
mucus
this
that
as
eventually
uncomfortable
hardens
for
to
you
form
as
the
it is
shell
for
of the
me?
cocoon.
Like my clay ring?
Right. Your finger represents the worm, and this ring represents the cocoon. As the
You're not
cocoon
going to
slides down the
actually
body, it
overlay the
passes
word
over
sperm
ovaries and
next to my
sperm
finger,
sacs
are
where it
you?
picks up
No,
eggs
no, don't worry
and
about
the
it.
sperm needed for fertilization. The cocoon then slips off the end of the worm, closing off on both ends.
Like this?
Exactly. And the sperm fertilizes the egg inside the cocoon. Let's take a look at the real thing.
These are actual cocoons, about as big as a grain of rice.
I
See how
give these out to
translucent
children on
they are?
Halloween.
Does that mean you can see through them?
No, that means the light can pass through them.
Right again.
Worms, making worms. It's
Worm cum.
I said worms.
All over your face. Worm cum.
Changing sperm.
On the human race.
Together
Worm
with
cum.
slime. Tell them that mucus flow. The mucus hardens, then the cocoon grows. Like a ring
Yes, I
it
really
moves
wanted to
off
see
the
that
worm,
again.
gathering
Thank you,
the
movie.
eggs and the sperm of worms, making worms.
Worm Woman is
It's
super
mating
turned on by
time, I
this.
said
She has to be.
worms, exchanging sperm, locked together with slime. The cocoon slips off the front of the worm.
If you think baby chicks are gross, take a look at a baby worm.
Then the eggs are fertilized and the cocoon has There's little worms inside a worm.
Worm come, coming on worms with your dick, coming on worms with your dad.
Locked together with slime, I said worms, making worms. It's mating time, I said worms, exchanging sperm. Locked together with slime.
Alright, my brain has been thoroughly turned into compost, and I can feel the worm starting to eat me. I don't think there is much to take away from this other than worms come, Billy's wife clearly left him, and those kids never experienced poverty. Thanks for watching.